Welcome to the FILIPOMANI Diaries, a true stories podcast series with yours truly, Multi James 95. But before we begin, let me give a small introduction about this series. The FILIPOMANI Diaries tell stories of my life as an Oman born and raised westernized pure blood Filipino who has lived in both the Sultanate of Oman and the Philippines from birth, childhood, daily life, basic education life, and more until the present. Here's our first episode, wherein we will be talking about the people whom we consider to be part of our family, most especially the nannies. However, the nannies will be the main subject of this first episode, so sit back, relax, and enjoy listening as I tell you the story of the nannies whom we viewed as our second family members. As kids, many of us had nannies and they served as second mothers to us. They cared for us, accompanied us when our parents were not around, helped in our food, and more. When they leave, it is bittersweet as we consider them to be part of our families. Now, I would love to share stories of my nannies in life when I was in Oman. That Arab country, a very beautiful gem of the Middle East, was where I was born and raised as an only child. I never had any brothers or sisters, just me. It is here where I was educated, got immersed in the culture, and much, much more. We begin during the 2020 COVID 19 pandemic. My family's trip to Korea was supposed to take place on March 28th that year, but it was cancelled due to the virus, so we had to stay and work to survive. Hospitals were on full alert, boundaries were closed, all travel was shut down, classes were held online, graduations went virtual, businesses operated in a limited capacity. Our family businesses were not spared and we closed for some time, but one was allowed to remain open as it was a food business. You know, food businesses are allowed to remain open during the pandemic because food is a necessity. During some fixing in the house, when our businesses closed or operated in limited capacity, we found some photos from old photo albums showing my past trips and lives in Oman, as well as my nannies. An old diary chronicling their lives and services with my family also helped reshape the memories. These were found in the storage during those times when we minimized operations as COVID-19 pandemic hit, and it was only now that I decided to tell this story. These are their names and tenures. All nannies came from the province of Capiz in the West Visayas region of the Philippines. Number 1. Lindy Buduso from Barangay Ilamnay, Municipality of Panay, Capiz. Years of service 1996 to 1998. Number 2. Annabelle, last name already forgotten, from Dao Capiz. Years of service 3 months within 1998. Number 3. Nora Diliera Naelgas from the municipalities of Sapian and President Rojas, also in Capiz. Years of service 1999 to 2000. Number 4. Grace Mendoza from Barangay Mongpong, Rojas City, Capiz. Years of service 2000 to 2006. Number 5. Ludilin Cordova, Barangay Pawa, Panay, Capiz. Years of service 2006 to 2008. The first nanny, Lindy, is a college graduate of Colegio de la Purísima Concepcion. I don't know which course. However, she was not the first choice to be my nanny. Originally, a woman named Judy Barrera was the first choice to be my nanny, but she was pregnant with her daughter, Jenica. Another woman named Leonie was also from Panay, and she was picked as an alternative, but she could not leave her physically and mentally disabled sister Illy behind, and she had to take care of her. Therefore, Lindsay was eventually chosen by my maternal or mother's side grandmother, Monica, to be the nanny. Lindy came to us when I was still in the infancy stage and served us for 2 years. During her service, a pet dog of a Japanese Spitz breed was given to us. It also happened that she helped prepare my milk in the bottle as I was still doing baby bottles that time. We all lived in the campus of Sultan Qaboos University. My parents worked there in its affiliate hospital, the Sultan Qaboos University Hospital. I do remember she woke up early, like about 4 o'clock in the morning, and woke me up so we can take an early morning walk at the university compound. Not to mention that she prepared our light breakfast of bread and butter as well as milk. Now, for your information, Muslims begin their morning prayer at dawn as early as past 4, and it was music to the ears to hear the adhan, or call to prayer. We did enjoy time together, bonded over snacks like ice cream, noodles, what else? Music, movies, CNN, MTV. And she was with us during our 1996 and 1997 vacations in the Philippines. These were all the joys until her departure mid 1998. I'm not so sure if I cried when she left in 1998, the year Annabelle took over as a temporary nanny. Annabelle or Belle served my family for 3 months from the middle part of 1998 until possibly in October. She was only borrowed by my mother to help fill the gap Lindy left. Like Lindy, we enjoyed time together and grew close. She attended daycare with me. During her second or third month of service, my family and I got our US visas at the US Embassy in Muscat. I remember the consul allowed me to play outdoors while mom went on the processing for her, me, and my dad. As a minor, I was exempted from interview. Sometime later, I saw her packing her suitcase and I did not know what was that for. On the day of Belle's departure, my family and I accompanied her to a new accommodation where she will be staying as a nanny or helper. Unknown to me, she was ending her service and she would begin working under a friend or acquaintance of my mom named Bing. When we left the place, I began to cry when I realized that she was not coming with us. The driver of our car offered me a pet to play with and adopt it if I wanted to. I can't remember if it was a cat or a dog. Sometime the next day or days that followed, my mom and I surprised me for my first ever trip to the United States. My parents' second after their first in 1994. When Belle was with us, one of my mom's sisters, Maria Eli Hinoves Cox, an American herself, invited us to spend Christmas and New Year with her. Initially, this trip was to take place in December and end in January, when we would have both Christmas and New Year in America. But in a strike of bad luck, it was changed from November until mid December, as the hospital where my parents worked, the Sultan Qaboos University Hospital, denied our leave for December due to a number of staff in both high and low ranking positions going home to their native home countries for Christmas. And us going on December would be bad for the workplace since it needed enough or adequate staff for the holiday season. Nevertheless, the bad luck was a blessing in disguise as the hospital permitted an early leave to allow me to enjoy and see the stars and stripes, as well as its offerings. You know, medical workers are frontliners, and they work even on holidays just for all to be home with their families. Diseases, injuries, childbirth, they don't choose when to strike, they just happen anytime. This trip was my parents' second since 1994, and as I stated, it was my first. We flew early November using Lufthansa German Airlines from Muscat to Los Angeles, with stopovers in Dubai, UAE, and Frankfurt, Germany. Settling in both Torrance and the city of Moreno Valley, both in California, with the latter being part of Riverside County of the same state, my family enjoyed the Christmas experience and all of the sights and sounds of America. Disneyland, sunny but cold Cali, Las Vegas, Seattle, Washington, the Getty Center, the beach, and more. These were all ticked off of our bucket list until it was time to go home on December 15 that same year, thus making it an early Christmas break, with both mom and dad due to report to work on the 19th and 20th. We arrived in Oman on the evening of either December 15th or the night of December 16th, with all American souvenirs and Christmas presents in our luggage. Settling in our home in the SQU villas, we were ready to spend the rest of Christmas in the capital following the end of that early winter break. We watched home videos of our trip to the US as well as some films that we bought from there. Not to mention that some Filipino carolers from SQ or some other workplace who could also be members of a church organization or that they were part of the Filipino congregation and their children who could be studying in Philippine School Sultanate of Oman came to our house on December 21, the 10th anniversary of Panam 103, which blew up over Lockerbie, Scotland. My mom was on an evening shift at the time, so dad and I just accommodated the carolers. Some of them tried my toys like a guitar wherein one boy caroler with a Santa hat did some rock moves. After they sang some carols and gave some candies, we ate and watched a documentary of the ill-fated flight. It was here where I discovered that Frankfurt main airport, which we used as a connection, was the origin of Panam 103. I may be too young, but at least I learned a bit from there. And that is why I could say that I have a special connection to Lockerbie. Sometime before or after Christmas Day, Mom informed me days later that Nana Belle is becoming Nora and told me that I would be totally weaning from diapers and eventually stop by then, focusing on full potty training, which I started at age 2.5 years old, as I would start school at age 4.5 years old. Christmas 1998 and New Year 1999 had signaled a new start, and that is when we moved to the third nanny, Nora Deliera Naelgas. Nora Naelgas, then known by the maiden surname Deliera, a native of the municipalities of President Rojas and Sapian, both in Capiz, arrived at exactly the first or mid part of early 1999 using a Thai Airways flight from Manila to Muscat via Bangkok's Don Muang International Airport for her 2 year contract with us, wherein we picked her up at nightfall at the old terminal of Muscat International Airport, then named as Sib International Airport because Thai flights arrived in Muscat when it was already dark. Upon reaching our home at the SQ Villas, located within the compound of Sultan Qaboos University, she gifted me a new VHS of the British toddler show Teletubbies entitled Dance with the Teletubbies. Both Nora and I had a good time together and watched that VHS as well as many other videos we recorded, including that of our 1998 winter vacation in the US, and so much more. Some of the other tapes we watched were Disneyland Fun, which I purchased during the 1998 winter vacation in America, the 1997 Bee Gees documentary film Keppel Road, Kid Song series, and much more. She even read to me an airplane book which I loved. That book was bought along with a VHS of the 1994 remake of the Christmas movie Miracle on 34th Street. More airplane books followed, and we bonded even closer, even with snacks like ice cream, noodles, and so much more. Not to mention that she also helped prepare my milk in a bottle, which at the time I would be weaning from when I reached 4. We went on hangouts together and we had all loads of fun, which even continued on our winter vacation to the Philippines in 1999, using Gulf Air from Muscat to Manila via the state of Abu Dhabi in the UAE. That time, Gulf Air was owned by 4 GCC nations: the Sultanate of Oman, Qatar, the UAE state or Emirate of Abu Dhabi, and the Kingdom of Bahrain, until 3 shareholders, namely Qatar, Abu Dhabi, and Oman, withdrew from the airline in 2002, 2005, and 2007, respectively, to grow, develop, and improve their home or national airlines, leaving Bahrain as the sole owner of Gulf Air. However, these airlines, Qatar Airways and Oman Air, were founded in 1993, with Etihad established in 2003 during their country's time with Gulf Air. I do remember that we stayed at a friend's house in Manila for 3 or 4 days. I remember during one of the days of my stay in Manila that I was in a mall with Nora, my parents, as well as my relatives and cousins from the father's side, when a talent scout came to me and asked if I could be part of a shoot and if she or he could meet my parents for that matter. My parents considered first until my cousin or they themselves declined the offer, with the cousin stating that we were only in the Philippines for a vacation, having traveled from overseas, and we were due to leave the next morning's flight for Capiz. For a trip to Roa City, it was also the first time we used the new NAIA or Nichols Airport Terminal 2, commonly known as the Centennial Terminal. It was the new home base of Philippine Airlines for both domestic and international flights at time, which was the case until 2023 when the airline shifted all of its international operations to Terminal 1 or the Ninoy Aquino Terminal, retaining only domestic operations in Terminal 2 and making that said terminal achieve its true purpose on how it was originally to be. Nora and I had a good time during our winter trip, that Manila stay and the first flight to Terminal 2 and significant events like my 4th birthday and even the Sinadya sa Halaran, wherein a band was playing and the drummer taught me some drums too. I was also very interested in the drums at a very young age and as part of my music fondness. Going back, Nora stayed with her family during the Christmas to New Year, and a day before our flight to Oman, she came to stay in our house. After a 1999 winter vacation in the Philippines, we returned to Oman in January 2000 using the same airlines, Philippine Airlines from Rojas to Manila, then the Gulf Air flight from Manila to Muscat, which was non-stop. I remember bringing home some in-flight magazines from that airline. With the holidays over, everything seemed normal at first upon return, and activities resumed as usual until something eventual took place. Now, Nora was supposed to act as my long standing replacement nanny and the longest serving nanny. However, things would change one day. Sometime in late January or maybe in early February or March 2000, Nora discovered that her monthly period did not come and she suspected that she was pregnant. On the night of that day of her discovery, Nora came to my parents' room and reported her suspicions. My dad was on duty in SQUH that time, so mom called him to bring home some pregnancy tests. Simultaneously, after telling my dad to do the tasks, mom also had first time doubts of an alleged affair. So she confronted my dad when he came home and asked him if he had any affair with Nora, to which he denied, where Nora managed to tell the truth and prove his innocence. There hadn't been any affair between her and my dad, and it was here where she revealed the true reason. Nora eloped and slept with her boyfriend during our 1999 winter vacation in the Philippines. In simple terms, the boyfriend touched and penetrated her. Mom was relieved by that point. A short time after the discovery, my maternal cousin Joem Hinoves Paras, physical therapy graduate, was either arriving or had arrived in Oman from the Philippines to look for a job overseas to provide for his siblings who were still studying, using Philippine Airlines from Rojas to Manila and an Emirates flight from Manila to Muscat via Dubai, arriving in the morning. Now, after Nora was tested positive of pregnancy, she sobbed as she did not want to go home and she wished to finish her contract. However, my parents convinced her to return to the Philippines for a very core reason. In the Middle East, pregnancy without a husband is considered taboo. Unmarried women who are pregnant can face tough penalties like imprisonment or deportation or both, except if she's widowed. My parents called Aunt Esther to have her order Nora's boyfriend get a wedding certificate from the municipal hall in their place and send it to Oman so as to help clear Nora to go home despite not finishing the contract. With the certificate delivered, it was presented to SQU where Nora was interviewed and she gave correct answers like the salary has been paid and so much more, thus securing her clearance to get home to avoid the penalties. This is something I did not understand much, as I was aged 4 but turning 5 on December 9 on that year 2000, and I was just thinking that Nora will still be my nanny. Unknown to me, my parents had begun preparing her return trip to the Philippines. To get her return ticket, they tried other travel agencies, wherein Dad brought me some brochures and leaflets of airlines which I collected until they settled for Oman Travel Bureau, then an affiliate travel agency of SQU located in the Rui district. The return trip would take her from Muscat to Manila with a stopover in Bangkok Don Muang using Thai Airways and from Manila to Rojas with Philippine Airlines. It was also evident that months after her arrival to serve as the family nanny and before our 1999 winter vacation, Nora was singing the song I'm Going Back to the Philippines, an English re recording of the hit song Hoy Me Voy para Mexico by the Puerto Rican American boy band Menudo, popular in the Philippines and worldwide in the 1980s as a lullaby for me. Now, if you ask me, that re recording was done by Menudo themselves and is part of their fourth English language album, In Action. Following her positive pregnancy test, she also sang it to me as a lullaby again and whenever we were together, subtly telling me that she would be ending her service and will be leaving my family, while reminding me to be strong when she will be gone. She even changed the lines with you is where I belong to you ride the airplane in the Philippines or you ride the plane to the Philippines because I loved aviation. Although the original song was sung in either F or F sharp, Nora sang it to me in the key of E, and this is how the lullaby was sung. Please forgive me about my vocals or my voice, as although I'm a singer, this tune is not within my range, but I'll do my best. Listen to how it was sung. I'm going back to the Philippines, where my love is waiting. I'm going back to the Philippines to see my love once again. I'm going back to the Philippines, where my love is waiting. I'm going back to the Philippines. La 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 la. You ride the airplane in the Philippines. I'm going back to the Philippines, where my love is waiting. I'm going back to the Philippines. Na 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 na. That's how she sang the song, in that key. And now let's go back. Sometime after the ticket was bought, I witnessed the packing of Nora's suitcase and some other balikbayan boxes, which I thought were for another holiday, but in reality are Nora's items. Apart from Nora's hand luggage, suitcase, and her own balikbayan box, those other balikbayan boxes prepared happened to be ours, and they contained some of our family belongings, collections, and some of my toys and stuff to be sent home to the Philippines, which were to be carried by Nora as cargo. But I seem not to understand the time, thinking that either this will be another vacation and she will be back, or that me and my family will go on another trip with Nora accompanying us. Again, I was also believing that Nora will still be my nanny. Fast forward to 2 or 3 days before her departure. Nora and I bonded for the last time by eating meals and watching home videos and tapes of my baby days until the 1999 vacation together, enjoying memories made. On her very last day in Oman, we went for a final hangout wherein we first went to church service to pray for her safe trip. Mom, Nora, and I are Catholics, and we went to the Saints Peter and Paul Rui Church in Rui District, also located in Muscat. Dad, on the other hand, went to the INC locale in Rui. Now, on that very day she would fly home, Nora made a final bond by watching one last home video and one last movie, eating meals again. That evening, on the way to the old terminal of Muscat International Airport in Anil's SUV, Nora sang the same I'm Going Back to the Philippines lullaby which she sang to me on her last days in Oman. Coincidentally, Nora was taking the same night flight of Thai Airways my dad's co-worker, Ramon Saculo, a native Bicolano too, was traveling on. After they were checked in, I bought a 1600 scale model Lufthansa 747-200 plane by Shabak and exited the airport terminal with my family in tow once Nora and Ramon were sent off and had entered the immigration and security check hall. If I can remember, Joem was with us, and once I got that plane, he left ahead of us to do some shopping, wherein we went home without him, and he would follow home once shopping was done. I entered the SUV with my parents and we drove off. But just as we were reaching the exit road that will take us out from the airport complex, I discovered Nora missing and began to cry, calling out her name and looking for her, wherein mom had to tell me, Why? Why are you crying? Nana Nora is going home with Tito Ramon. I did not understand what my mom meant that time, and I thought that Nora and Uncle Ramon were going to live in a new house, further thinking that she had a new job and was given a new house assignment. Actually, mom meant that going home means going back to the native country. But I did not care, so I continued to weep and call her name, seeking for her, you know, just like a child feels when he separated from his nanny whom he grew close with. The wailing continued while on the road until we reached our residence. There I continued to cry while washing up and upon going to bed until mom comforted or consoled me and promised that a newer and better replacement nanny would come while showing me my new Lufthansa plane scale model. I was still too young to understand the reason of departure in Nora's pregnancy, but that toy plane must have helped me refrain from overreacting or lashing out. The next day, I did not cry or look for Nora, but I began slowly adjusting to the situation inch by inch and day by day, finally accepting that Nora was gone for good and a new replacement nanny was on the way soon. The room used by my nannies was cleaned and I seldom stayed there. Later on, I would start my formal education in Philippine School Sultanate of Oman that year, beginning with kindergarten in school year 2000 to 2001, and would be in that institution until my last year of high school, which took place in the year 2011 to 2012, eventually graduating my basic education on March 29, 2012. This was the school of my god sister, Maribeth Balisnomo, and some of the teachers she was under tutelage of would become my teachers. Although the first time I stepped in PSSO was the villa at Way 4727 of Alman Hell Street, which was PSSO's main campus from 1999 or maybe 1997 until 2001, my first official entry to PSSO was at the villa at Way 4144 of Al Kulea Street, which was PSSO's campus from 2000 until 2001. My preparatory days began also in that same campus for a week or three until Philippine School Sultanate of Oman moved to a villa which was bigger and more presentable, located at Al Jabunaya Street of Al Quer 33, where it was based until year 2006 to 2007. The main campus then moved to a villa two doors away from that bigger and more presentable villa, the same site, and was based there for the same duration, 2001 to 2007. This is where I would be staying until the end of 5th grade, when Philippine School Oman moved to the current site at Alquer Heights in 2007 and continues to be based there until today. This is where I would be continuing my basic education with PSSO from 6th grade academic year 2007 to 2008 until the start and end of high school from 2008 to 2011, graduating in 2012. A short time later, the fourth replacement nanny, Barangay Mongpong Rojas City native, Grace Mendoza succeeded Nora and would become the new nanny. She would be my guardian when going to school, accompanying me since kindergarten until the early part of late 2004, possibly the first or mid part of September 2004, wherein I began going to school alone. Interestingly enough, Grace was the longest serving nanny in the family, having served from 2000 by the same time Nora left until April or May 2006. During her first year, she also learned of Nora, her tenure, and her pregnancy. She even watched with me home videos, including the ones with Nora in it. Also, during her first months of service, another Japanese Spitz dog was given to us by my mom's workmate, Aunt Mila Araneta. There were times Grace came on vacation with our family. While she did not come with us for our Philippines trip in summer 2000, she went with us during summer 2001, flying Gulf Air from Muscat to Manila via Bahrain and PAL from Manila to Rojas. For the return trip, it was the same, although the flight from Manila to Muscat was via Doha, Qatar. She did not come with us during the emergency leave of 2001 when my maternal grandmother, Monica, died, when my family and I took Thai Airways from Muscat to Manila via Bangkok Don Muang and Pao to Rojas, vice versa, returning in January 2002. In winter vacation 2002, we, along with Ramon Sakulo, flew to the Philippines using Emirates from Muscat to Manila with a one-day stay in Dubai. But the most memorable of the trip was the Dubai Manila leg because we were all upgraded to first class due to economy class being full. That was my first ever first class trip. While Ramon would fly with PAL or Cebu Pacific to Bicol the next day, my family and I, as well as Grace, would fly to Rojas the next day too, only that we used PAL. Another fun memory was the year 2006, wherein we returned to Oman from our Christmas vacation in the Philippines 2005. On the first leg from Rojas to Manila, at the end of that trip, I remember visiting the cockpit of the Philippine Airlines 737. But that's another story. Grace was a witness to many significant events in my life in PSSO until the first days of grade 5. It was only possibly in my last days of preparatory 2001 to 2002 or my days of first grade 2002 to 2003 or second grade 2003 2004 or third grade 2004 2005 in Philippine School Oman wherein I and mom were talking about nannies in my life, that I knew the true reason why Nora left after only serving for a year. That time, Grace was still serving as the nanny, and also, as I told you earlier, she knew of Nora. On one of those days, I asked why Nora left us, why she went home with Ramon. By that time, in my first grade, by the way, Ramon was staying in our SQ Villa apartment as a tenant of one of the guest rooms or units. And only after reading the sixth or seventh lesson of one of my two English subject books, Greeting a Wonderful World, which was a story entitled A Family Gathering, that I knew what my mom meant when she said Nana Nora is going home with Tito Ramon. There was a term there named balikbayan, which itself meant that one person or group of people who goes back or returns or goes home to his or her or their own native home country. That term made me understand what my mom said that very night Nora left. Now, mom told me the reason that would make me understand the true purpose of Nora's departure. Nana Nora had to leave and go home because she was pregnant, and it would be difficult for her to give birth here, she said, proceeding to explain about pregnancy since she and dad are medical workers. I asked further questions like, why didn't we just allow Nora to leave when her womb grew big instead? And that was when my mom decided to tell me how difficult it would be for Nora to give birth, and it was better to let her go while her womb did not grow big. And that was when my mom decided to refresh my memories on another statement as we ate ice cream as a snack one weekend. Remember that you were crying when you were looking for her when we left the airport that night after sending her off? You were wailing and calling her name repeatedly. She even made the tone of how I cried, like, Nana Nora! Nana Nora! Where's my Nana Nora? Nana Nora! Nana Nora! And in the year 2004, upon the death of one of my mom's sister's helpers and friend named Maria Barrera, did my mom refresh memories of our fun with that Lola Maria and with Nora being part of it. I asked my mom the same question about the departure of Annabelle and Nora. My mom stated that I was crying when Belle left, and after that, she surprised me that we were traveling to America for my first trip there. And also, she even stated about Nora's pregnancy and told me that I had to understand about it because I was growing fast. And she made me remember about those times, especially the 1999 trip to the Philippines, wherein Nora took care of me, flying Gulf Air at the time, and going back to Oman, wherein she told me about how Nora discovered her pregnancy by starting vomiting, which was a sign of hormonal imbalance and a symptom of pregnancy. And then she went to the room and told us about her period not coming. So that was really something that I still greatly remember. And then again, my mom made me remember that very night that I cried when Nora left. And then she made those same tone of how I cried and called Nora's name. I admitted that I still remembered it, but seemed to move on peacefully, found acceptance, and understood the reasons and almost everything about pregnancy. I began reading medical books at that very age. The fifth replacement, the Rojas City based Panay Capiz native Ludi Cordova, served us from 2006 to 2008, succeeding Grace. She went job hunting in Oman in search for better pastures and temporarily took employment in her household, serving us from that year when Grace left and until she departed 2 years later due to a new office job offer, wherein she took it when I was still in the fourth quarter of sixth grade, the last year of my elementary school year. During the first 2 months of Ludi's term, Dad and I also shared about the family nannies in our family's history, and Ludi had also met Grace during Eid al-Fitr 2006, while also getting to know about Lindy, Belle, and Nora through my mom. In addition, Mom had also spoken to Ludi about how Nora would have been the longest serving nanny if it were not for her pregnancy, to which Mom added about my cries during the drive from the airport to home when Nora left, which I was refreshed again. Coincidentally, Ludi also served the same duration as Lindy, being in service for 2 years, while both Ludi and Lindy were also from Panay, Capiz. Actually, the difference is that Lindy hailed from Ilamnai, whereas Ludi was from Pawa. Ludi left in the midst of my first quarter of first year high school in school year 2008 to 2009. And actually, I was already 3 months fresh in the high school life, wherein I was too big for a nanny. Although I was big enough to handle some things on my own, my cousins from the father's side, who were working in Oman, would take over the house helper duties and household chores on their day offs. Now 2012 comes in. That was my first year of university or tertiary education. I reunited with Lindy during a visit to Barangay Ilamnay in the Panay municipality of Capiz. One weekend, and we reminisced memories together like SQU, the Macarena, airplane toys, hanging out around Oman, and more. We did encounter each other again in 2013, 2014, 2015, and 2016, doing the same things together. We last met during New Year's Eve 2018, or should I say, days before New Year's Eve 2018, or in 2019 would enter a day later. 10 years later, the year 2022, as I began working in Sun Life, one of my clients, Mylene Diestro, was getting insurance from me. She knew that I was blogging and she saw one of my photos with Nora, wherein she told me about her fate. When she returned, she got married to a man whose last name was Naelgas, even revealing that they met after her service with my family ended until her child was born. She also revealed the reason why she had to go home because of her pregnancy. Unmarried pregnant women are not allowed in Middle Eastern nations. A year later, mom revealed to me about Nora adding her on Facebook, and I added her too. A video call with Nora helped reminisce memories with her, wherein we talked about Oman and so much more. In that chat, we reminisced all that transpired, and she also revealed how she knew of me crying when she left. Currently, my mom informed my aunt and late grandmother Monica about her departure and what happened after, even asking to post an overseas nanny job offer in the bakery. It was here where Nora revealed that she got married to her boyfriend and they visited the bakery oftentimes, only stopping when she gave birth to her first child, a girl, in August 2000. That girl had graduated accountancy from Colegio de la Purísima Concepción in 2023. Now, last November 19, 2023, Nora and I met again, this time in person, the Gaisano City Rojas branch of Jollibee while we were having breakfast, and she came across me wherein she sat with her two sons. As we reminisced memories again, she revealed more on how she knew of my crying. When she arrived in Ross City, Aunt Esther picked her up at the airport as the former was to fetch the cargo sent by my parents. They stopped at a residence in Barangay Baybay wherein they helped unload the cargo, and this is where Aunt Esther revealed of my mom's call and stated that her boy was crying when he and his parents left the airport, and that is how she knew. Now, I have a lot of helpers who acted as my nannies when I was in college, but they were not really nannies, but helpers who helped in tasks that I made. I will reveal about that in another story. Well, we have come to the end of this episode. Thank you all for listening and thank you all for the support. I hope that you find this enjoyable. And if you do, please don't forget to give this video or podcast a like and do share this as it helps my podcast series become more visible to the internet and social media. If you're looking for my social network accounts, these are found in the description and please follow them. And if you're generous enough, please do help support MultiJames95 by donating to the Patreon, PayPal, Buy Me a Coffee, and Gcash, all of which links are listed in the description. I thank you all, and I look forward to our next episode.